Alright folks, let's debitter the myths of an IPA. So if you're the person who thinks that IPAs are very bitter, this video is for you. So the number one myth of an IPA is people think that it's very bitter. It's not true most of the cases, but they believe into this fact because their friends say it's bitter and they never try. Dude, you're missing out. IPA is a style that calls for the bitterness. So if your friend goes to a random bar or brewery and tries XYZ IPA and it tells you that it's very bitter, doesn't mean that you shouldn't try it. So the reason for that is his palate is different from yours, dude, and the perceived bitterness of his palate is very different from what you perceive. Different taste buds. So don't believe into that. I would highly recommend trying the samplers of IPAs wherever you go. It's all about the balance in the IPAs. There are some IPAs which are not that bitter. So when you talk about the bitterness, mostly we talk about the perceived bitterness on your palate at the back of your tongue when you take a sip. So you get that lingering bitter aftertaste. So if that lingers for a longer period of time, that means the perceived bitterness levels are going to go up. So the use of different varieties of malt really cuts down that bitterness in the beer. So it's all about the balance between the malt sweetness and the hop bitterness. So every beer is different, every IPA is different, the IBU values differ. So don't just go with the IBU value, also try to get a sampler and try it out to see how you feel about that balance of flavors on your palate. So let's go back and talk about what brings the bitterness into the IPAs. It's this guy right here. So these are hops. They add aromas, flavors and bitterness in the beer, depending upon where you add in the process. So I highly recommend trying different beers, trying different IPAs and let your palate evolve. Example that happened with me when I was new and when I was trying these IPAs in the United States. So I picked up this random beer called IPA, Rest in Peace Ale. Yep, that's the name. So I didn't know how bitter it's going to be and I was excited to try it, and I picked it up from a local store and I went home, cracked it open, I tried. It was bitter as hell. So I couldn't finish it. I had to give it to my friend and said like, dude, I can't handle that bitterness. So at that moment I decided not to try the IPAs ever again. So but later on when I was going to different breweries, I was getting a sample of IPAs here and there, and slowly I started to understand that it's not every IPA is bitter. It's all about that balance with the malty sweetness. So stop buying into the myths, embrace the bitterness and start drinking. Cheers.